Alden is our guest today on The Career Musician. She is an LA singer-songwriter, host of the Real Me podcast for the Teen Cancer America Foundation, which is supported by the classic rock band The Who. Erin was also the former manager for one of LA's premier recording studios, AfterMaster, right here at the crossroads of the world in Hollywood. Her songs have played their own prominent roles in films and television programs, such as Keeping Up with the Kardashians and The Real World. As a producer and songwriter for other artists, one of her strong suits has always been her talent for collaboration. Supporting an amazing cause for young people stricken with cancer, Erin brings us the real scoop of how to roll up your sleeves and give back for a worthy cause right here on the Career Musician podcast. All right, Erin Alden, welcome to the Career Musician.
Thank you. I feel like I have to be an adult now.
Yeah, I guess you kind of do have to be an adult, but I think, isn't that why we get into music? Because it allows us to, be children our whole lives in some aspects?
Actually, all aspects. So that's true.
That's funny, all aspects. Well, we were just catching up and, we had some technical issues and I was like, hey, by the way, I'm from New York. I'm originally a Cuban-Italian New Yorker. So, I have a very... abrupt mannerism sometimes. And I was admiring your fuckology comments on your Instagram.
Right. I know. So the people that are listening, he asked beforehand, I don't think I'm going to say anything. I'm like, please fucking do.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to have a fuck it all attitude. Otherwise it's just boring and you don't get anything done.
That's such a good point. And you know what? When you're in, it's really funny. I'm glad we started this way because a lot of people hear me talk, in a very serious manner, and they hear all of these, these little bits of wisdom and knowledge via experience and, very pragmatic and philosophical and focused. But it's rare that I bring in the whole, other side of life, which is the holy shit, really? Is this happening right now?
Yeah.
Because that is a real aspect of life, right?
It is life.
Yeah.
You can try and ignore stuff like that, but truth is that's life. You just better be ready for the ride.
That's right. That's right. and a ride it is indeed. Okay. So first thing I want to start with, you and I met through some mutual friends who, if it weren't for these friends, Christian Swain, Jack Pyatt, for me, the podcast would not have the reach that it does. So first of all, big shout out to Jack Pyatt and Christian Swain.
Hello. Yes.
Yeah, we love you guys. I appreciate you. Yeah, because those guys are dot connectors, right? It seems like they thrive on connecting, relationships. Yeah.
That's actually very true. And I've been called the same. Yeah. Being a dot connector is, it's a privilege actually, but I think that being a dot connector comes with a lot of responsibility. And as maybe the deeper down this hole we go, I'll say that without having those or without having people around you that you can reach out to, refer to, work with, we really don't have anything because we're all trying to work and we're all trying to work together. So it's important to have a dot connector and to be a dot connector so that we can just carry on with what we love to do.
That's a great point. Such a good point. I always say that collaboration is key, right? Especially in this business. Yeah.
Yeah. And to build on that, one of the things that I was thinking about before we started talking is that you have to be open to collaborating. Because you're only going to be yourself for so long until you get thrown in the mix with somebody that you don't know. And you better be ready to say yes. Right?
That's an excellent point. I love that. Okay. There's so much to unpack there. So before we get into that, for the listeners who may not know, Pantheon Podcast is an all music-based podcast collective, which the Career Musician is under that collective umbrella. And again, Jack Pyatt, who's with Jam Card, one of the founding members of Jam Card, and so many other things, also a filmmaker and a writer. And, Erin and I both work with him. Also, Christian Swain, again, similar title, many things.
Founder of the network.
Founder of the Pantheon Network. And
that's right. A
singer and a songwriter, performer. So, once again, my gratitude is extended to these people because it has helped the career musician really get a footing, get a foundation. So, and then one night we went to dinner with Christian and Amy, his wife, and you came and met us. And then my wife was there. So it was great. So we're all connected now.
Well, we are. Okay. So I'm going to blow your mind a little bit.
Yes, please.
So here's how the dot connector works. About 5 years ago, well, let me just say a couple things. So I have a son, he's 15, he's an actor. Right. And he was on a TV series that Cameron Crowe did called Roadies, which was on Showtime. He was the only kid on the show. And so I used to love to look, online and just see if people were talking about the show and, what they were saying, good, bad, or indifferent. And I happened to stumble across this podcast that was a Roadies recap show. And so I listened to it and I heard such great things that I wrote a little note to Christian Swain, who I didn't know at the time, right? And I said, hey, I just want to reach out to you and let you know that my son's on the show and you've said really nice things about him. And I just want to let you know that we're listening and we love it. And that's how we got connected. So that was 5 years ago, right? Okay. So we started talking. He said, oh, that's so cool. Do you think Ethan would want to come on the show? And we were like, yeah, that sounds great. Then it became, do you think some of the other cast members might like to be on the show? Absolutely. So I hooked them all up little by little. Hey, we see that you're in the industry. We do a rock and roll recap, news. We thought it'd be really fun as you came on as a host. So we co-hosted. That was Peter Ferrioli, the other founding member of Pantheon. Right. You guys can't see Nomad's face right now, but his eyes are starting to bug out. Okay. So that kind of led to other things. And then, so Christian and Peter are up in Northern California. I'm down here in LA. Right. So we just really fell in love with each other. It was a mutual admiration of what he was doing, what I was doing down here. And that led to me introducing them to my friends, some of whom were Jam Card, Jack, and Elmo. You guys should meet. There's a synergy here. We should make this happen. So, almost 6 years later, that connecting of the dots actually started with me.
I would say, so you are the culprit. You are the catalyst that started it all.
Yeah.
Look at that. Well, here you've come full circle. So see, even more reason why we're honored to have you on the show.
Well, thank you. And I was going to say, we're kind of like siblings because we're all like this group of family members working together with different shows, continuing this whole story of rock and roll and life as musicians.
I love it. I love it. Okay, perfect segue. So tell us how the music bug bit you, because I know you do quite a few things as well. But also I want to hear more about your songwriting side. Just tell us everything. Start from the beginning.
Yeah, sure. So I would say that the bug never bit me. I always had it. I've had it ever since I could remember. I had a little keyboard and a piano in my house, and I used to play by ear, and then took lessons at 5 years old. And I grew up around a really bohemian, incredible household, which really was through my grandparents. I mean, I had my mom and dad, but my grandmother was totally into music. She was kind of a hippie, even though she wasn't. My grandfather was a dentist, and my grandma was just like this vivacious woman who loved to dance, and she did ballroom dancing. So we were surrounded by gays, which has been my entire life. So just this very eccentric, blooming household. And she loved Queen and the Beatles and the Eagles and all these really massive groups that kind of gave me this passion about music. She even had this little snare drum in the living room, and she'd turn the music on and she'd play the drums, and we'd dance and sing. So I can't remember a time where I didn't have music around me. I always did. Wow. And that just inspired me. I've always been a singer as well. I grew up singing. I did chorus and chamber singers, and I've been classically trained as a vocalist throughout the years. So I've been able to sing pretty much every genre of music, and I've been hired to do so as a studio, session singer. So it just grew. The only other thing I can say is that having the musical side also gave me the theatrical side, and I loved acting and did all of that as well. And when I left the Inland Empire, which is not far away from Los Angeles, I moved up to LA to be an actress. So I had the music on the side. And that led me down a completely different path for a long time. I always loved music, but I had the acting bug and the production bug. So I put myself in a position where I was now working production on a lot of TV shows and acting at the same time. And that took me away for a while from music.
Wow.
And then what happened was I had this friend and he said, you got to come with me. There's this menagerie of songwriters and singers, and they do this really fun show, like a cabaret at this place called Luna Park, which was in West Hollywood. And so I said, yeah, of course I'd love to do that. And I went, and that changed my life forever. And the reason I say that is because I saw these people. It was a collaboration of all kinds of different singers and songwriters, totally eccentric and big and fun. And I just thought, God, I love, these are my people, because that's what I grew up with.
Yeah.
And so during that show, Johnny Perez, who was the host of that show, he had quite a few music deals. He had a record deal for a band he had called Slush, and just on fire.
Yeah.
We're looking for female singer-songwriters. We really want some female energy, so if you guys are listening and you want to be a part of the show, let me know. And that light went off and I was like, fuck, I've got to do this. So I randomly picked a friend of mine that was a guitar player, very good friend of mine. His name is Bob Olive. And I said, you know what? I know we kind of, mess around from time to time. I would love to put something together. Why don't we just do some jazz standards? And I'll reach out to him and say, yes, I'd like to do that. So that's what we did. We put together this set that was Moonglow and Frim Fram Sauce, which is Nat King Cole. God, what else? Hair. What's the song that they sing, that the woman sings in Hair? I'll think of it in a minute. By the way, it's International Coffee Day and I have not participated enough. So if I'm a little slow, that's why.
I've had a cup and a half today. I feel like I didn't even know it was International Coffee. It's always some kind of day.
I know.
Right? Everybody's celebrating always some kind of day now. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, we volunteered and we did our set. And like I said, that changed the dynamic of my entire life because it went over better than I could have ever expected it to. Wow. We were involved and invited to so many more gigs after that. Wow. And I just thought, this is fantastic. So from that, it gave me the fire that I needed to say, this is what makes me truly happy. And I started telling people that I was open to anything. And I think that's a real important key for people that are just starting out. You have to be willing to say yes, even when it's uncomfortable.
Okay, I'm so glad you said that. And I want to park there for a minute and really break that down. So that's something I say all the time, especially in the beginning of your career. Say yes. The answer is always yes.
Yeah, so the answer is yes. What's the question?
Yes.
Please. If you don't know what it is, then go figure it out and show up when they ask you to. That's
right. And so expound on that. Tell us more why you believe that, because I truly believe it as well.
I'll tell you, my career, if you look me up on the internet, there's not that much. And part of that is I've been spread out over the years on so many different paths, and it's all because I said yes. So just to go back a little bit. So I said yes to session work and I booked all the time and I did sing-alikes. So I got hired to do classical stuff. Like I sang like Sarah Brightman, who was in Phantom of the Opera. So, being classically trained helped a lot. I've done rock tracks, jazz tracks, you name it. If they offered it to me, I took it.
Right.
And that really gave me a level of comfort. First of all, being in front of the mic, really learning how to use that as a singer, how to use that live, that led me to thinking, you know what, I've never been a songwriter before, but I think I can do this, which lended itself to still a songwriting career. Even putting the vocalist aside, I'm hired and I work with artists, and I've been working with artists for years as a songwriter. So that all those little things that were like, hey, do you want to try this? Yes, I'd try it. Someone would say, that's really good. Or I like that. Why don't you try this? Being a good listener, being able to adapt has given me a career and a room on so many different levels.
Right. So when you say, you do feel like because you said yes to so many things, especially early on, it really perpetuated all these other opportunities.
It gave me a career.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you the other secret, because it's still something that everybody can use anytime they want to. And this is another part of how I got where I was. And that was using social media as a tool. So what that gave me early on when Facebook first started was the tool to look around and see who I was connected to on this big path of music and musicians. So I was able to look, and I'm going to use a big example, Paul McCartney, right? So all the people that I love, I went to Paul McCartney. I should say that Rusty Anderson is a very good friend of mine. So I already knew he was amongst that link of people, because Rusty was a part of that menagerie cabaret stuff that I started with.
Oh, wow.
Right?
And
so I have a lot of those.
For those who don't know, Rusty Anderson has been with Paul for years as one of his guitar players. Yeah.
For years.
A long time. Correct.
Yeah. So, and I'll go back to that in a minute. But anyways, I could see, oh, hey, I know that person really well. I know that person really well. So what it gave me was a tool to say, I'm going to send out a Facebook request. I'd love it if somebody wanted to hire me for something, but it was a way just for me to get in front of somebody all around the world. And then I'd send a note and I'd say, hey, I just want to let you know, I saw that we have a lot of great mutual friends in common that I actually know. And I just wanted to send out a Facebook request to connect. Are you cool with that? Most of the time, 99.9% of the time, they were like, absolutely. And then I had all my information right there where I never had to ask for anything. Mm-hmm. If they wanted to do research and look at my music or look at what I've done, then they could do that on their own. And then they'd come back and they go, oh my God, you've got such an amazing voice. What are you doing? So it's putting yourself out there without having to ask for something, but you're in the room with them.
That's fantastic. And I want to park there for a second too, because here's the importance of what Erin just said for those listening. Social media can be taken several ways. And one way it can be taken as a competition and a seeding ground for extreme jealousy, right? And for envy and those things. On the other hand, it can be an opportunity for what you just described, where you don't take the approach of, oh, this person has that, or they gained this, or they have this many. No, you can't go into it like that. You have to flip it and say, okay, imagine Facebook, and when Facebook was the thing, that was the thing, and now it's moved to Instagram, and now, of course, it's even moving to TikTok. But still, the point is, the medium doesn't matter. The platform doesn't matter. The concept is, when you go in with an open mind, who do I know out here that I can connect with and not ask them for something, but just connect and say, hey, I'm out here doing stuff. Let's do stuff together, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's so important to go in with that mindset that you went in with.
Yeah, and that goes back to the dot connecting, right? Because that's really what it is. We're all trying to stay in the room together, even when circumstances don't necessarily allow it to. There's so many other ways that you can still connect with people. And it is true. You don't want to ask right out of the gate. The other thing I would say is that you better be ready. So imagine that there are 25 billion other musicians out there that have been doing this their entire life, right? And now you're going to go up against them. You better be ready.
That's right.
And if you're not ready, make yourself ready.
Mm.
It doesn't take long. Take the time to make yourself ready so that when someone says, I'm going to take you up on that, you're ready.
Expound
You're ready.
on that. Expound on that.
Okay, I'll give you a perfect example. So once the songwriting thing really kicked in, there's two things that happen. One was I got invited to be part of writing groups, writing teams with big people. And I used to get scared shitless. I still do sometimes. It is, it doesn't, you get nervous. Like, am I good enough? Am I going to be able to perform? All that stuff that goes through your head. So what I've done and what I've done for a billion years is when I go to meet somebody to write with them or to work with them, I'm ready. So typically what will happen is you'll get into a room with other writers and they'll say, okay, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? Well, I always come with 3 songs ready to work on in case nobody has anything.
Bam.
Because then you can see, you know what? I've been working on this idea. I don't know if it's right for us, but I can play you a little of it. Why don't you let me know if this would work? It always works.
I love it.
And then you can go and you can do it. And then that leads hopefully to more opportunities and more, sessions and whatever. At least you got your toolbox ready to go and you're prepared.
I love that. That is brilliant. Have 3 ideas ready to go, because you're absolutely right. It's very similar when a bunch of musicians get together and there's I don't know, what do you want to play? I don't know. What do you want to play? Oh, well, I don't know. It's like, come on, guys, have a list in your head at least, or have a short list on your phone somewhere. Here's a song right here, So that is a brilliant idea. Have 3 vehicles ready to go that you can work on. And chances are one of those tunes is going to speak to one or more people in the room. Right?
Yeah. It usually does. Sometimes it doesn't work.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you're not a great, musician or a songwriter. It just means it didn't click that time.
Right.
But it doesn't take you out of the gate. You're still in the gate.
That's right.
At least you're still doing it and you're, working it and trying to learn more. I'm still learning. I've been doing this for 20 something years now. I learn every minute of the day.
That's right. That's right. I have a couple interesting scenarios that happened to me with writing in that context, which I really appreciate you sharing. I was in the room with Babyface one time, and we were writing for Jewel, and his back was turned to me for 3.5 hours.
Oh gosh.
He did not turn around once. No matter what I played, no matter what I said, no matter whatever idea I gave, I don't know if he was so I think he was so focused, or if he was just not impressed, but it taught me an amazing lesson. Here I am in the room, in the writing booth with one of the most prolific songwriters of our time, and nothing I could do to get his attention. So I just thought, okay, well, how am I going to continue? Well, it was easy. I could have just said, fuck this, I'm never going to do this again. Because it was awkward. And did it make me, have all kinds of moments of, second guessing myself? Absolutely. But you know what? I just said, no, I can't give up. Think about if he gave up, if he never got if he never got the first single, the first number 1, So then after the session, I was like, all right, great. So, when would you like me back? When are we writing again? You just have to keep right? You have to keep going no matter what.
Yeah, you do. And you can't need someone's approval too much. You just can't. Because once you get that, you're never going to get back what you need.
Excellent point.
So it's just another way of keeping that, I always say the toolbox, keeping that toolbox handy. You know what you can do. You can even go further than you think you can. And you just have to go in 100% and not need the attention. It's not going to work out all of the time. It just doesn't. Mm-hmm. But if you at least go in with the goods and you're good enough, you'll get called in again.
That's right. That's right. Go in with the goods and know you're good enough. Have your toolbox ready. I love this. This is some great info for anybody in any situation, whether it's songwriting, you're performing, playing a gig, doing a session, it doesn't matter. Okay. Tell us about some of the people you've written songs with.
Well,
Name drop for a second, if you don't mind.
yeah, no, I'll tell you who I've been writing with for the past couple years, because we've got a project coming out that I'm really excited about. Besides him, I've written for artists in development. I write for TV and film projects. I've been involved. I worked in a writing group that Ken Calais was one of the producers for Fleetwood Mac. It was a writing team for that. I've been writing teams via Skype from other parts of the world. So it's a lot of things. It's not just one.
Right.
But through social media, I got contacted by this wonderful person in South Africa whose name is Colette Dawson. And she saw my music and saw me and was looking for writers for another artist that she was working with at the time. And so she said, "Hey, I don't know if you've got any music, but I'm working with this artist and I'd love to see if there's some synergy there." Right. So we're across the pond. She's very far away from me. Needless to say, I said yes. I pulled some stuff together and I shipped it off to her. And that turned into a beautiful relationship for another artist. And then eventually I met the artist that I'm working with now, also through her. And his name is Cito, Cito. And he was part of a big boy band over there at the time, earlier on in the 90s. And they had a great career. And then he wanted to do a solo project. So he reached out to me and said, "Would you be interested in writing?" And I said, "Yes." Right. So we've had this wonderful couple of years of writing. It used to be once a week on Skype or, now it's Zoom or whatever. Sure. But we would write just to write.
Smart.
Not for anything in particular, but just to write. We have a real passion for the same type of music, although I write every style of music, but we love like The Cure and Depeche Mode, like early She Wants Revenge. That was the vibe that he wanted. So that's what I really focused on. And we've released 3 singles, one of which he entered in this worldwide competition for songwriters and we placed 3rd.
Beautiful.
So that was a key that we were on the right track, but he's getting ready to release an EP. I've got 3 songs on the EP with him, which I just cannot wait to get out. One of the singles is going to be released at the end of October, and we already have the music video for it, and maybe a film involved in it as well. So we've dreamt big. So that's who I've been writing with the most.
Okay.
And for a long period of time, and now that those little baby projects are starting to
blossom.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Okay, so you also mentioned film and TV, a lot of licensing. Since the advent of the music supervisor becoming the new A&R person, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Music supervisors are the new rock stars of the industry. Let's talk about that a little bit. A lot of young people, or just aspiring people to be in the biz, are always asking, well, how do you do that? How do you get your music licensed? And, talk about your experience with that. Yeah.
Well, so it's twofold. It used to be that if you became a band or you became an artist and you went on tour, you would obviously make your money being out on tour with merchandise and ticket sales and all of that. And just even being a career musician, there were other ways to make money. Those don't exist really anymore. Big tours maybe, but if you're going to sustain yourself as a musician, you got to think really outside of that, because you're not going to get that like you would.
Right.
Or you would have. So, you got to look towards music placement. That's where you're going to make your money. Hopefully, everybody wants that.
Right.
One of the ways that I got that was through Facebook. I'm going to keep going back to that, because if you can position yourselves in front of people that are going to see it, and again, them taking the step to look at your music, that's what happened with me with placing my stuff in film and TV. Somebody saw me on Facebook, they listened to my music and said, "Hey, I've got these TV projects. Would it be okay if I submitted you for X, Y, and Z?" Yes, right? The answer is yes.
Yes,
of course. And it happened for me. that's really what I enjoy doing the most. And I think that as a songwriter and even as a singer, exposing yourself and learning how to play all kinds of different types of music lends itself to all kinds of different things.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to write for a kid show, a teen show, a film, having all kinds of different styles of music is going to put you much closer into a category where people will be interested to pick from that box.
That's right.
And so that's what I've done.
Diversity is so important, right?
It is.
Versatility. Yeah.
And hopefully you like all that. You can't zero in on one style. I listen to so many random pieces of music all the time that if you can kind of create yourself around those, it just makes you even more successful.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Tell us about some of the projects you've had in film and TV.
Yeah. Well, again, for me, it was more, I had people that knew of me or found me and said, I'm doing a show like this. Do you have anything that might work? So I always have a catalog of songs ready to go. And I try and write even way ahead of time so that I have something if somebody asks me. Because I'm so lucky. I get asked a lot. Or I've got friends. This is the other thing that I've done as a connector is I've got friends that have opportunities with new music and maybe they don't have a place for them. So I can recommend them to the people that are asking for stuff that I don't have.
There you go.
So again, it's this whole synergy of surrounding yourself with people that want to help each other out. You find your people fast, people that you want to spend a lot of time with rather than some of the others. And then you try and build each other up. If I don't have it, he's got it. If he doesn't have it, I have it, so that it just flows and you can continue to enjoy really what it is that you love to do.
I love that. There's a couple things I want to circle back to. I'm going to start right there with the synergistic tribe of people whom you really enjoy working with. We all know there's soul suckers out there, right? People who just suck the life right out of you, suck the soul out of you. And you're like, no, I don't want to work with that. I want to be around a group of people who I really, we all edify one another, right? And so that's so important. And I love how you were able to use the platform of social media to develop that and to really enhance that globally. I also want to come back to something else you said about sustainability. Our mission statement here at The Career Musician is to empower musicians with strategies for a sustainable career. So for those listening, Erin has done just that. And she's actually sharing her secrets. People are always saying, well, what's the secret? Well, first of all, there's no fucking secret.
No.
Okay?
No.
But, if people want to quantify these things as secrets, then fine, by all means, call them secrets. But she's sharing with you firsthand the tools that she's used to create a career literally out of thin air. And that's what we do, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what we do. And as I said earlier, opportunities come from the strangest places. And I can dive a little bit deeper into that in a minute. But yeah, there's no secret here. You just do what you can to make sure that you're always excited about whatever it is you're doing. You got to have it. You've got to be happy about it and excited about it and really want to thrive in learning. And people feed off of that excitement. I used to say this a lot, and this goes for acting too, is that people are excited by the fast moving train. If they think that your train is moving someplace, they're going to want to hop on it. So there are some ways that you can make that happen, even if it's not as exciting that people think it is. What's wrong with saying, oh my God, I'm writing this new song and I'm super excited about it. And you're really sitting in your pajamas, right? Eating a bowl of cereal. You are writing a song, but you're still showing people that you're doing something. It's not lying. It's getting people excited.
I love that. But I also think that I'd like to add this from my perspective, as long as you're not braggadocious about it.
Absolutely.
As long as you're not coming off like, oh man, I just wrote this dopest song. It's going to be a number, I'm writing with so-and-so. I'm doing it. It's like, when people start to go off on that kind of a rant, I immediately turn the other way.
Yeah, no, you're right. I should actually preface that by saying it's not about what you're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
It's just about what you're doing. So the thing with being a musician, is it's not about the money. If you think it's about the money, go do something else.
You can work at McDonald's and make.
I can tell you that I think I finally have enough 1 cent residual checks that have come in that I don't feel completely guilty about saying, okay, here's 10 cents. Please put that in my savings account. Right?
I love that. I love that. And any of us who have received royalty checks know what she's talking about.
Yeah. I mean, it's painful, but I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it because my brain never shuts off, and I've got to create, and I've got to surround my people that love to create so that I can get excited no matter where it's coming from. It's coming from them. It's coming from me. It's coming from someone else. I can't wait to share what you're doing.
That's right.
Those are things that just keep me alive. I don't know about anybody else, but I have to have this in order to make myself thrive. When I don't have it, or when I'm not creating, even during COVID, when things got really bad and it was just like, what are we all going to do? We have this. We've got communication. We have Zoom. All the things we were doing before, even with our friends across the pond. We have ways of making things happen anytime that you want to.
That's right. That's right. I love that. Okay, I'm going to continue dissecting everything that you've discussed. So the next thing is, I love what you said. You build your catalog, and you always have that available. Now, again, I can go back to an opportunity, a situation that I had in Nashville, where I had written with this very big songwriter in Nashville once before for a project, and I said, you know what? Let me reach out to him and see if he's interested in writing again, just on a whim. And I said, hey, blah, 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 I'd love to sit down and write. And, seems like we had a good connection, and the song that we wrote together got placed. So, hey, that's fantastic. And, he just came back with, well, who do you want to write for? What are we writing for? Who? And I felt so, the first thing I felt was so inept. I was, I don't know, like I just was a deer in the headlights. What was I supposed to say? I don't know, freaking, who at the time, who was big, I don't, it doesn't matter, but Katy Perry, I'm like, I don't know, man, let's just write. So I love the fact that you build a catalog, and you said sometimes you just write. You're not writing for anything. And I think that's so important. It's a muscle. And the more you write, the better you get at it. And the more stabs you take at it, the better chances you have of something sticking and going all the way through and winning for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, don't get caught in the thing of, well, who do you want to write for? Just write.
Who knows who that's going to be?
Yeah.
We've all written songs 10 years ago that are just now seen that it connected with an artist. Who knows who that song's going to be for?
There you go. I love that. I love that. Okay. So speaking of this, and this is the other point that I wanted to touch on, you said your mind won't shut off. You're a constant fountain of ideas, and I love that. I actually say the same thing to my wife every day, because she's just such a prolific idea person. And my thing is, I always say to her, hey, write it down. Even if we can't get to it today or this week or this month, just have a collection, a database of all your ideas, right?
Yeah, that's so true, because what happens. You think, I'm going to remember this. This is the best song I've ever written in my entire life. I'm going to just do what I have to do and go back to it. Have you ever remembered any of those moments? Because I haven't.
Hell no.
Right? I know. I'm so old school. I still have like a handheld little mini cassette tape recorder.
Yeah.
I've had it ever since I was little, and I take that with me, but I sing into my phone. When we had answering machines, I'd sing into my answering machine, write it down, voice notes. Those things are the only way to continue to kind of thrive, because you can go back to those if you don't have anything. Something you got stuck with before, 2 years later, it's not stuck anymore. That's
right. That's right. So speaking of this concept, how do you, and because of the fact that most of the time as creatives, some of us are properly ADHD, but some of us are just, we have so many ideas and we're torn in so many directions on a creative level. How do you maintain sense of organization and a routine or a schedule, or, what does that look like for you?
Well, if you were to ask anybody around me, they would say that I don't know how she does it, because it looks like a bomb went off all the time.
And that's fine. Hey, if that's your method, that's fine. If there's a method to your madness.
I don't know the answer to that. I just do. I've gotten a little better. I do feel like an adult. I've got a whiteboard now for a lot of the projects that I'm doing. And by the way, I'm also my kid's, manager for his acting career. So in the midst of everything else, it was getting him to auditions and, going on location. And so I don't know how I've done it. I just do. That's not a really good, helpful tip for you guys, but I've got, and I'm going to show you because you can see me. I've got literally notes everywhere. And I've got an old school calendar on my refrigerator that I'll go to because sometimes I don't see the notifications on my phone.
Right.
And I tell people that I work with, please bug me. I don't want you to feel like you feel bad about doing it. There are things I don't remember. So please bug me. Please remind me. If I forget, I'm sorry. There's always a juggling of songwriting, singing, podcasts, Feel free to bug me.
The squeaky wheel gets the grease, right?
Yeah.
But I want to say something about that. No, I think it's actually a great answer. You said, I just do. So I also, again, there's this dichotomy where sometimes you can overanalyze. I know I'm the type of guy, I'm so analytical. What do they say? Paralysis by analysis.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like I can be so guilty of that. So I make so many lists and outlines of projects. And then it's like, my wife will say, well, did you do the first to-do task in that outline? And I'll be like, no. She'll say, well, what are you waiting for? I'm like, well, I just wanted to make sure the outline was solid. She's like, the outline looks pretty solid to me. Are you going to get started?
Yeah. I wish I had that. Nobody wants to get near me. They're just like, you figure it out. Okay.
I think, look, no matter which way you go, there's always going to be some chaotic, mess behind it. And so one of the things is Nike said it best, just do it. And I saw a meme yesterday on one of the sites that podcasts that I follow. It said, sure, make a to-do list, but don't get overwhelmed by it. Pick one item on that list, and I preach this all the time. Pick one item and do that item, and forget everything else, and turn off your notifications, and be still for 90 minutes to however long it needs to be, and do that item. And when you resurface, chances are you'll feel renewed and rejuvenated because it's such a sense of accomplishment, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The smallest of steps are achievements. Amen. I think I just made that up.
I love it. Say that again.
The smallest of steps are achievements.
Oh, see, there you go.
I'm going to be tattooing that on my arm once we leave.
Well, we're going to immortalize it on the Instagram feed because we take quotes from each episode.
Oh, okay. There you go.
That's going to be.
I feel like Gandhi for the day.
Yeah, there you go. See, that's amazing. All right. So speaking about all this stuff that we're talking about, good stuff, and real pragmatic life applicable stuff, right? I asked this question to everybody because I know everybody has a different view and perspective. But the reason why I asked this is because I want everybody to see, all the listeners, I want you to realize that we all experience the same stuff. That being said, how do you define success?
I honestly think this sounds so stupid, but right now, breathing. Because I'm an in the moment type of person. I constantly think about the past, present, and future, but right now it's about breathing. And to be quite honest with you, this whole pandemic situation really stilted my ability to work well, create well, because I just didn't feel like it.
Wow.
And that was heavy for me. I went from writing, doing, to not doing anything. And it really shut me down. So it's not the success or feeling that you're successful, to me, means such a bigger thing. It's about breathing, learning, listening, doing when you feel like it, and not beating yourself up when you don't. because creativity comes under all kinds of different circumstances at different times. Being allowed to just be sometimes is the most uncomfortable feeling in the entire world. But I think that for me, it gave me a reset. So I was able to look at, this is what I've been doing. This is what's been going really well. This is what's not working for me. Maybe I can grow a little bit more and do something different that I didn't think I could do before. And it actually gave me the wings that I have right now. And that's the honest truth.
Wow. No, that's prolific, because sometimes the ability to just be, it can be uncomfortable, actually.
It's
right?
very uncomfortable sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. Not beating yourself up. Why can't you do that? God, if I just sit here for another 10 minutes, I'll think of something, or listening to a record or listening to something on the radio, and then trying to sit down. And sometimes it's just too much and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. And then the fact, like you said, success is breathing. I mean, that could be taken in so many different contexts, literal and figurative. Obviously, literally, there's quite a few people who did not make it through this pandemic.
Yeah.
And that's a huge reality that maybe sometimes we don't stop to think about.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of PTSD. So even if you don't think that it's affected you at all, you may find out down the road here that it did affect you. Write about it.
Good point.
Write about it.
I love that. I love that. Speaking of which, are you a journaler? Do you keep journals and whatnot, or?
I've never been a journaler. I get really pissed off when someone is, because I wish I could. There are so many moments. I mean, I have them all in my head, but that I'll share a secret with you. I have these things that most of my close friends know as Erinisms. And for example, most people get colds. I get pneumonia. Most people walk down the street. I trip and fall and break something. You know, a funny line or a joke, I will fuck up if you give it to me to deliver. So, you know, journaling would have been great for me, because I've made so many mistakes in my lifetime. They'd be funny to look back on, but no, I'm not. I write things down, you know, a lot of it's funny, even when I write song lyrics down, I don't even write them in any particular order. Like, they're all over the page. I'm not even neat about it, but they're just like this line, this line, this line. And then I go back and I put the puzzle pieces together, and, you know, then I'll write it down. But no, I've never been a journaler.
Yeah. But that's the uniqueness to how you operate. And it's okay.
Oh, I'm weird.
But it's okay. And that's the whole point.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. I actually love that. I am the opposite. I am so structured.
I was just going to ask you, do you?
Oh, I'm so anal retentive about everything. It's actually, when we're writing a song, if somebody in the room isn't putting it in exact order, nice and clean on a piece of paper or a digital document, I start to get uncomfortable. So then
I guess so that means we're not writing together.
No. So then I started to no. So what I started doing, actually, you said it earlier, I always have the phone recording, right?
Yeah, me too.
So then I can go back. No, it's so weird, because look, I'm a square, and the reason why I bring it up, because my wife is a songwriter, singer as well, and she's a circle, and the square peg and the round circle, they just don't go together, right? It's
yeah.
But I think there's so much opportunity for growth and learning, and I think that's part of the message that you're relaying here.
Yeah, totally. I mean, listen, until we die, we're going to be learning something new.
Right.
No matter what. No matter what that is.
Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, try to get into a Tesla and figure out how to turn it on.
Oh God, I can barely figure out my new Android phone that my kid made me get instead of an iPhone.
Uh-oh.
Good luck with that.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, speaking of which, before I let you go, I have some rapid fire questions. But before that, you did mention that you were your son's manager for his acting career.
Yeah.
I think that falls under the whole category of what we do, because, again, if it's not the epitome of being self-employed, then what is, right? So
yeah. And by the way, I didn't birth a child and go, you're going to be an actor. You know, that's not how that worked. But fell in naturally, just like the music did for me. I've been really lucky. You know, things
Yeah.
have always kind of presented itself in a lot of different areas, and I've said yes. You know, so yeah, so that's been going on since he was 2.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so a
And
long time.
and so that's something that you've been doing simultaneously with your music career and your own acting career.
And by the way, one more thing, I was a studio manager for 3 years at AfterMaster Studios. I opened and launched that studio. So the whole point of all of this is not for me to say, I did this, I did this, I did this, but it is to say I was given opportunities and asked if I'd be interested. And I said yes.
Mm.
And it made me uncomfortable. And I said yes. And they all worked out great.
Mm. I like that. I like that. And through that uncomfortability comes growth, right? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What do you have for me?
All right. You love it. I love it. You ready? Here's
Yep.
your rapid fire. These are easy. We're just going to try to go fast, but I'm not going to throw you for any loops. Top 3 artists in your playlist that you listen to.
Right now, it's The Kills, the Gap Band, and All J.
Nice diversification. Your friends would say you are
Lovable in a spaz.
favorite food.
God, right now. Okay, so I've never been a foodie.
Oh,
ever, but I have just been dying all the time for Indian food. I love Indian food right now.
cool. I wish I was never a foodie. I've been a foodie my whole life, and you have to work extra hard to get those calories off. Okay.
Yeah.
Drink of choice.
Oh, I love a dirty martini.
Vodka.
Both gin and vodka. There's no difference for me. It's all yummy.
Yes, I love the green olives with the red.
Yes.
tomatoes.
I used to steal those from my grandfather every night. He'd come home and make a martini. Oh, God, it's the best.
That's awesome. Last concert you attended but had no affiliation with. You didn't write, you didn't work, you didn't sing, you just attended.
Oh, gosh. That's a good question. I do go to a lot of shows, and it's been a while. I'm going to say The Kills, because I love The Kills. Jamie Hince and Alison Mosshart, rock stars. I could watch them all night long.
Awesome. Last movie you saw in theaters?
Oh, yeah, we just went and saw what's the Questlove movie? Summer. Oh,
I'm not even hip. I'll have to look it up.
Oh, it's the most incredible movie I've seen in a decade.
Oh, wow.
This is okay. We've got to look it up. Let me see here. Anyways, I can tell you about it while we're looking
Summer
it
of
up.
Soul.
Summer of Soul.
Okay.
So get this. During Woodstock in Harlem.
That's right. I saw this trailer.
Mind-blowing 4 weekends concert series with every incredible artist you could think of, from Mahalia Jackson to Sly and the Family Stone. You name it. Yeah. Incredible. They filmed the whole thing. This was 50 years ago, and it was supposed to be their time to shine.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to buy the series. And so it sat in a basement for 50 years. And Questlove took it out, put this incredible story, live interviews, artists that were there, some for the very first time, Gladys Knight and the Pips, that saw their performances and were so choked up they could barely speak about it, because they knew at that time it was going to change the world. And it didn't, because no one would allow them to do it. This movie is so important on so many levels. Please go and see it. If you can see it in the movie theater, go. Wear your mask, sit away from other people, and enjoy the music. My son was like, his mind was blown, because that's all the music he loves right now at 15. He's totally into funk and soul. And, he right out of the gate, he's like, there's Nina Simone. Oh my God, it's insane.
That's incredible.
Please go and see it.
I remember seeing the trailer on Prime, and I was like, oh, that looks sick. Yeah, so I definitely
Yeah.
yeah.
The other one, the Sparks Brothers, equally as important. If you guys don't know Sparks, you will know Sparks because you'll see all the stuff that their music has been placed into, right? Music placement, that's what we're talking about.
Right.
But they started their career in the 70s and they are brilliant. It's a funny movie and the music is like mind-blowing.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for those tips.
Yeah, please go and see it.
Absolutely. You heard it right here from Erin Alden on The Career Musician, movies to see. And that one is the Sparks Brothers. I'm going to look that up.
And can I please plug something that's very important to me before we go?
Please, we're not done yet. Please.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
should I wait for your?
No,
Okay.
plug it. This is the perfect little sidebar.
So here's another example of being at a place where I could say yes to something or dream about something. But we're getting ready to launch on October 4th. I have a new show that I'm hosting that is actually through the WHO's organization, which is Teen Cancer America. And I happened to be at a party one night where I was sitting next to the director, whose name is Simon Davies, and he was telling me all about the WHO, Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend's organization, which builds hospital teen cancer wards all over the world for teens going through treatment because there never was a teen floor. So if a kid was going through treatment, they would either have to go to, the pediatrics floor or the adult floor where they have nothing in common with anybody. They've got an amazing music program called Play It Back. And they've got artists that come and play music with the teens. If they've never written a song, maybe they write lyrics, but it inspires them to think about music. They produce a song. And now what we're doing is each week I get to interview one of the artists. We talk about their story, about how they were diagnosed with cancer. Are they still going through treatment? Are they done? What was the songwriting process like? What did they think about it? We have their family come on, and then we get to show and play and share their music with everybody. So the podcast is called The Real Me, and we are debuting on October 4th. And anybody that wants to know about the charity and the programs, it's at teencanceramerica.org.
Okay, I'm looking at the teencanceramerica.org website right now, and I see Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I just typed in the Real Me podcast. It says it's coming on Spotify. It'll be everywhere.
Yeah, it'll be everywhere. And I just wait till you hear these kids. I mean, their story, if we never heard their music, their stories alone makes me want to just hug and kiss every one of them. But
I mean,
some of these kids, when you hear their music, it is like mind blowing.
Wow. And right here, I have the trailer on Pantheon.
Yeah, please, you guys listen to it, share it, tell everybody you know about it. And also, right, because this is the Career Musician, we're always looking for people to volunteer to also help with the tracks. Maybe you want to be a backup singer. Maybe you want to do engineering. Maybe you want to add some bass to it. You can go to the Teen Cancer website, send us a note, and we would love to have you. Big names, small names, anybody that's interested. We are constantly looking for help. Okay, well, I'm at the website, but I have one better. I have the founder of this podcast right here staring at me, and I want to help. So please sign me up. Yay. So, see, you guys, this is how it works. That's it. You get excited about something, you share it with somebody else, and you make things happen. Done. Sign me up. I will play any instrument or produce or co-produce, whatever you need. Great. I can't wait. Yeah, sign me up. I'm super stoked to do that. Thank you. That would be amazing. Yeah. Okay. Well, I love that plug, first of all. What an amazing opportunity that you are giving to these teens who, man, talk about life-changing. Music can change lives, you know? It literally has. And you'll hear it. Especially in that context. Yeah. I mean, incredible. Okay. Now I feel like the rapid fire pales in comparison, but we have to finish. Okay. See, I get so excited. I love it. Fast, right? Now you know. Not at all. I love it. Okay. Back to you, Erin. Yeah. Instrument you wish you played. Oh, bass. Song or band that changed your life. Oh my God, these are so hard. Just one. You know what? I'll tell you who changed my life. Burt Bacharach.
Love
He
it.
made me want to become a singer-songwriter.
Favorite city?
Ooh, I love Chicago.
Oh, I like Chicago too. Hidden talents.
Oh, I can juggle. I once did a guest spot on a TV show where I had to audition for, it was for a beauty contest in this particular show. Actually, Denise Richards was one of the other girls that was in it. And so I went to the audition and I knew I had to do something different and singing wasn't going to be enough because they wanted weird acts. So out of my ass, I pulled that I could juggle and I put together a tap dancing, which I can also do, juggling and singing, let me entertain you at the same time. And I got the job.
Wow.
What else could you do? I don't know. Give me 5 minutes and I'll come back. So literally, I fly by the seat of my pants all the time.
That's incredible. Talking about just like conjuring something up. I love how you're like, yeah, I pulled this out of my ass and this is what I can do. Like, wow. Okay. Okay. Well, you entertain for a living. This is what you do, but what entertains you?
Oh God, everything entertains me. You know, I'm really enjoying my life. I think music did that. My friends do that for me all the time. My family does it. Everything does.
Mm.
Again, it's like one of those very broad spectrum, things to say, but doing this, talking,
Yeah.
all of that makes my life really good.
I love that. And finally, what would you do if you weren't a career musician besides juggling and tap dancing?
I love animals. I'm a huge animal fanatic. So I don't know, something with animals. I wish I could have I say it all the time. I want a farm. I want to hug a chicken. Can we have some goats? I would love to have a farm. I don't know anything about farming.
Yeah.
I can barely take care of my 3 cats, but I always have a menagerie of animals I rescue. So that's what I would do.
Gotcha. Well, the first step is you're going to have to move out of LA proper to get the farm.
I'll just go once a week, maybe.
There you go.
I love LA. I'll never move from LA.
Are you a native?
Yeah, I'm a California girl up and down the coast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Inland Empire, Orange County, Laguna, Newport. I lived in Carmel for a long time.
You're definitely an anomaly. Yeah.
I know. And I love it. I love LA.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure LA loves you. We here at the Career Musician, we love and appreciate you. Thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you. It's been such a delight. It's nice to see you.
Absolutely.
I hope we get to write soon.
Yes, we have to do it. Let's make it a point to do that in October.
Yep.
I already have Lola at the ready. She knows about it. And you've been here to the studio with Christina.
I have. It's fantastic, you guys.
Awesome.
It's pretty neat. Yeah. And feel free, anybody that wants to reach out to me. I do try to answer questions. We're on this planet together. So please feel free.
Amen. And your Instagram is Erin
Alden 22.
Yep.
I guess there was another Erin Alden. Weird.
Gotcha.
Facebook, Teen Cancer America.
Excellent. So people can find you. I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a blast.